is to find some solutions. And all the time we listen to, because sometimes we're just the ordinary man, and so we just talk, and we realize that we have a lot of talk shows, and people would always calling, and it shows that people are interested in making things different because they're always in tune, and they would call in and support. For those of you who are listening, I'm grateful. Thank you for tuning in, and I do hope that this morning's topics would be of some inspiration, not just inspiration, but of educational purposes to you. And you would learn a few things, and not just learn and sit down and do nothing about it. It's about looking at it, analyzing it, and basically coming to your own conclusion. For me, information goes, it flows, but you have to be careful of some of that you picked up, because some of it's really, this world is filled with humans, and humans for me are not very trustworthy. And I'm going to say why I say that. And you understand them. They whine, and they talk about situations when the shoe's on the other foot. But when they're wearing the shoes, it is the same old, same old. And it is happening right now in St. Kitts and Nevis. We're seeing that. I don't want, and listen, this is not about politics, party politics. This is about information, that the facts, the reality of the situation. I want to congratulate my friend Mr. Crook on your appointment as director of ZIZ board. I know a lot of people who are bashing him, and who are saying otherwise, but he is like everybody else. We're not sticking to the facts that you pick people who are worthy of picking. It was argued about earlier, but the practice continues. So why are you bashing the situation that he would have been placed on a board? He's human, he's Kittish, and like everybody else, he talks politics, and he's paid for political favors, and that's what it is. And so it happens to him. It happens to many people, and so I don't know why people are really bashing him. I suppose it's because of the person he is, and my mother always tell me what goes around comes around, but karma says harder, and that's what it is. But that is what politics is in St. Kitts and Nevis. It sickens my stomach. I have had some experiences, and I can now talk about it. Once ago, I used to operate in the background. I used to like to see, you look at the position that the country's in, and you come out and you talk about it because you want change. People would brand you, of course. People would say all kinds of things. But you know what is amazing, though? Is the same people who were talking the loudest are the ones who find themselves in the same position. And the question you ask is it really wrong? Or is it nepotism? Or is that what it's supposed to be? Because it's the same old, same old. It's just not that the game has changed, but the players have been subbed, and the game continues, same rules, and everybody has continued to do the same thing. I've seen that when Unity took over. We saw the fact that they talk about all of the wrong things that Dr. Douglas would have done, and all the wrong things that would have done. And now look at what people are saying. It's the same thing. So you ask yourself the question, and when you are seriously interested in not this politicking, but politics and the way you want to see your country go, sometimes you just have to throw in your towel and decide you would have had enough, because people would say the things that they want you to hear. They would reap up things that they want you to see. And then in the end, when you look at it, it was not so. The country's in the red, they said. But look at what is happening. People are traveling here, there, and everywhere. I'm grateful for those people who have been, the double salary comes in handy. I've always had a problem with double salary. It doesn't matter who's there, but I mean, they're going to say that they would have just had an increase, 15%. So I suppose that I can't say the best thing to do is to give an increase. But what I'm going to talk about, when you look at what is happening on the shelves in the supermarket, we recognize that we don't only have civil servants. There's the private sector, and minimum wage is an issue. And that is one of the reasons why you hear the arguments about how many people is on PAP and the poor reflection that it is on our economy or our country when we have to have 7,000 people on PAP and we have how many thousands on the peace program. You have grandmothers on the peace program according to them. And you are according to you is that you are going to revamp the PAP program and you're going to have people registering online. Cause for concern, but that's again, as we go along, we're going to discuss that topic this morning. I'm in a good mood, so I'm going to open the lines and we are going to talk about leadership. We are going to talk about what do you expect going forward to 2025, which is the next election, because we just saw basically a new government has been sworn in, so we have to see what they are about, and we have to look at things, other factors that affect choices or people or the electorate choices. Last election it was three parties, that is history. Three parties ran in our election. It was the PLP, PAM, and Labour won. I think it's Nevis Labour Party. They won the election and they're now in government. We see PAM, we are looking now for a viable opposition and a viable party that will form the next government if in the event that Labour doesn't do what they're supposed to do. And let me tell you why I prefer an opposition, a good opposition, a viable opposition, because of the fact that when the government is in power and there's no opposition, then they do exactly what they want to do. And because nobody's there to oppose them, and that is one of the reasons why an opposition is so good. Not just an opposition, not any opposition, but a strong one. Laws and rules will be passed in Parliament again, because that's what happens. They make adjustments to suit themselves. And that's what happens. And every time they go in, they're going to have to make amendments to, and they're going to continue to amend to suit themselves. We have a situation here, and these are areas that I have problems, where overseas voters, and I'm going to say it until the day I close my eyes. In 2020 was one of the best elections that we would have had, where people on the grounds decided on who they wanted to form the government, not overseas voters coming in. The last election we saw the number of people coming in and exercising their franchise. At the end of the day, they jump on a plane, parties given to them in America, thanking them for coming home. And there are people who haven't been here for how many years? There are people who do not even want to come back here because when they look at the situation here, they say, no, I can't live in St. Kitts. Prices are too high. Salaries are too low. But they are giving us a government that they think that we should have. When are you coming home, my friend? Not me, not St. Kitts. St. Kitts ain't ready yet. But when it's election time, they're on a plane and they're the first free tickets it is. And I find it is wrong because there are laws against that. It's called bribery. And there are laws against it. But how come we can't take anybody to court for doing this? We see in Nevis, elections are going to come. People are going to fly in. People are calling and crying, Lord, you can't help. We need some money to help us bring in people from overseas. It's wrong. It's sad. How come divisions can't decide? Elections are placed at a certain time. That again has to stop because it facilitates people who are coming home. Do not take into consideration that we're in the seasons of the Advent season. It doesn't take that into consideration. We just do as we please, and nobody can say anything about it. Dictatorship, I call it. Don't care what anybody else said. When you get into power, you look at people who were so good. When they're on the platform, they say so much, too much. Like the last election we had, I'm very, very, and this is one of the reasons why I'm going to talk about leadership. Last election, Labour, it's like we were auctioning. We were auctioning for government. I heard PLP says that they're going to increase PAP by $1,000. Labour said we're going to increase it by 15. We hear about dividends that should be paid on the 15th of December. I'm waiting for that. Double salary was paid. That came in to fruition. All of the promises that were made, people were supposed to be getting retroactive their those who retired and were not part of the permanent. They were not appointed in government services. They were supposed to be paid retroactive. I think 2007. Those were promises that were made. Of course, you didn't get it because PLP did not go in office. PLP ran on a ticket. For me, it was about leadership. Everybody were looking at the things that Dr. Harris was offering, and they look at his track record, and they felt they didn't want it. They voted against him. So, definitely that was an issue. So leadership there is definitely a problem. We look at the fact that Dr. Drew, he was new. I've always said that. And but he came up with certain promises that were made, and people believed in him. I suppose when you're new and people can't point their fingers at you and talk about how corrupt you are, then you stand a better chance. And that is why I feel, let me tell you exactly what I feel. I feel when a political party or leader has been tarnished, the reputation has been tarnished as being corrupt, I think that leader should start looking at his position and start transitioning early. Not what we had in the Labour Party where you had people, but the thing is, there's some people who love, because the people who love Dr. Douglas. Let me tell you, Dr. Douglas, people can say whatever they want to say about him where politics is concerned, but I find that as an ordinary person, he's a very nice person. I think most politicians are like that. As an ordinary person, he's a very nice person. He's a person that you can go and you can talk to. I mean, on the political platforms, he says he is a politician. He says the things that is necessary to win an election. But to talk about the man as a human being, I think that he's a gentle person. He's a person that you can call and you can talk to, you can express what your problems are, and he would listen. Dr. Harris, same thing. I mean, people would say the same thing about Dr. Harris when he's not talking politics and he's not trashing the opposition. When you can talk to him as an individual, he would listen to you and he would make promises. The question is, and that is why things where the people problems comes in, is that when you make a promise is whether or not you can live up to those promises. And you find that a lot in leadership. Leadership is based on promises. I am going to help you, they say. And that is during the election. After you would have voted for them, you can't hear from them. Let's go to the phone lines and take this call because I want to continue this discussion. And good morning. You're live on Your Views.
Good morning to you, Mother Creation. How your morning is going?
Oh, it is beautiful. When you come out and you get your first dose of sunlight, it is absolutely great. Become alive.
That's the perfect light. That's the perfect light.
Exactly.
The essence of the lighting of the highway.
Yep.
That's called it conscious awareness. Now, big thanks, good morning to the people of your program, your views, and I would like to say good strategy finding into knowing how we are going forward in leadership and the way how we can provide by a leader and the constant of how the leader we have able to pursue in our grounds of safety net, that friend in bringing clear and clear promises, as they said, but bring it into all spectrum that so convey that you want to feel for your own political plight in the nation. You're with it. Not a party, so you left your party structure behind when you deal with the nation. So we are here as a people really learning to see how we are going forward. I would like to say, really and truly, not just political party, but respect to them because they have the advantage of going forward as a people who defend, as you call, social equality for the people's interests. But we find there have been a lot of mistakes going along the way. And you point out something in a typical example where you find many of these parties go and get support by, let's say, political funding, campaigning. And these things have come now into place now where they find they bring to all people as a part of element to decide in how they say promises can be coming to as long as you trust what they give to you, or you take what they give to you. So I would like to look at this here right now, But Sister Atherton, this time now, we people understand, open up the mind more than what they keep showing us. Because there's more than what we used to learn than what we learn. And in this moment, as I point out right now, we know there is a chicken chase in political stances, but there are good measures behind it. Where it's supposed to apply to the people, guiding them safely. You see, because about you can't say that you want a representation, but obviously the representation must be flexible to the people in the wise way.
Yep.
If it's not, then you know you are just here to accumulate your position, you could feed off of our, as they call it, weak vulnerability.
Yes.
And we're not here to challenge these crooked political MLS that comes from the secretary elected for office, public servants, and they call them. But in the scrutiny, we are trying to chastise none of them because we are not perfect in this world at all.
But why all of them are the same, though?
Because of greed.
Thank you. That's the factor.
And when the concept of greed, we realize how greed in the formation of this world when it comes to devastating power. See? So we glad when the elements of university teaching can't reach to much as appearance, but I respect the people who have reached to that because they are part of the channel within human development. You see? We say, no, your safety net with the powers of the Almighty, not with just your ability because you have this thing called academics. And we got something called common sense, and that you cannot beat. So, blessed Lord, so that the leaders, them who inspire to continue doing the concept of leadership, open up better than what they're doing because we find that even these youth right now, they are not even doing a resembling job that could create development for the people. But we could never for another time because we know you have a short program and we thank you for your very vital information you start with. So blessed Lord.
Thank you. Thank you for your contribution. Have a great day. Yeah, and the caller would have made a statement that I'm going to expound on. Political funding. It's one of the biggest issues. We don't understand as an ordinary people when we go to the polls and we elect these people, we don't know who we are electing. We don't know the promises that they have made. We don't know the monies that they would have collected and from whom they would have collected these monies and the position of us, the locals, where we are placed. I look at a situation there on the internet where this guy went into one of the Chinese shop and he stole a Snicker bar. I think that was one of the things that they said he stole, a Snicker bar. And let me tell you, it upsets me to the core because I think that somebody steals from you and you have proof, you call the police. This guy was beaten to a pulp. And I really want to hear what the authorities are going to say about it. They went outside and I saw it. It was taped and the guy was beaten up. The guy said he didn't have it. They said they have him on video. And we talk about reparation and we're going and we're looking for money for people. We've been sold into slavery from Africa. But look at what is happening now. Our great-grandchildren, one of these days will be fighting for the same thing, but from whom? Our leaders are accepting monies and they're selling us out. I'm going to say it again. Our leaders are accepting monies from people and they're selling us out. Look around us. Prove me wrong. Tell me which is the fastest growing business owners in St. Kitts and Nevis. Tell me who. Tell me where the locals are presently. We're taking this lightly because at the end of the day, politicians are going to give you gifts. They're going to give you positions. They're going to place you on boards. Those people who are now in those positions who spoke against it, they are there now, and that's what happens. We are not fighting to get people out of office because they're not doing well. We are fighting to get them out of office so that you can benefit. We're not looking at where the country is at that time. We saw it in the last election. Again, you can't blame people because Unity call it on themselves. And I'm not going to say otherwise because they were in office and they fought to get out and was trying to get people to put them in again. I don't understand that stupidity, but it is what it is. And these are people that we want to elect as leaders. It's not about us, it's about them. If it was about us, Unity would have been in power today. But it's about them. Everybody's looking to see how much they can get. And at the end of the day, we, the poor people, when we were placed on PAP and peace and those social programs that are brought into being, we are grateful because we feel like we're getting $500. It is a big difference. It make a big difference to us, and so we are grateful. But this is the problem. We are too easily bought. Let's go to the phone line and take this call. Caller, you're live on Your Views. Good morning.
Yes, a pleasant good morning to you, Sandra.
Thank
How
good
are you?
I am great. I am so grateful.
Well, I cannot agree with you more than what you just said. If the politician, them what we have here in Sinkit, was thinking about us, we would have been in power today. Because we make a call and said, let us go to the 5 A's, and when the 5 A's is up, then we do what we got to do. But then they were listening. They take it on their own. It was just for them alone and not us who put them in there.
It's true.
And I want to ask you something too. This $500 that Timothy Harris was giving to the poor people in Sinkit was getting to help them. Now that this Labour government gone in, and it is a different ball game, because if you look, and I hope the people of Sinkit, they let the dog and the bone, they run with their will, they run with the thing what they're supposed to hold. They ain't hold. They let it go. If you look at what's going on right now for this $500, what they say, you must go up and line and do all sorts of things to get it. What they do? When they give you $500, you have to see what you bought with it, how you spend it, and what's not. I don't think that is a good idea. Timothy Harris gave you to go on pay bills, and he ain't got you all of them here. And these here now, who was criticizing him, come on now with a different ball game. Think it's people. You listen to the right thing and stop forget about the wrong things right out there. If it's that we're going down to, God help us.
Yep.
Then you have a blessed day.
Thank you for your contribution, and that's a very, very good point. I mean, you have the old people who are benefiting big time from this $500. I mean, how are they gonna get online and they're gonna sign up? They have to go and beg somebody to do this. For me, it's a travesty of justice. I think government has to do their work. They have people in place. Everybody, the information is there. If they're shady, for me, you take them off. If they feel like they were supposed to be there, let them come to an office and have that discussion. But you can't revamp a whole program for people, the poor people who need it. There are people who are incapacitated, who cannot go and or don't have computers. How are they going to apply online? I think, Dr. Hanley, I think you need to look at this again and see where it's going. It's about the poor people. I mean, it was abused, and it is a fact. The information is there. If it was done properly, then one would be able to go and check. You can vet the people. You had to vet them before. If you didn't do that, go and do due diligence, and you can go and check the information is there and verify whether or not these people are supposed to be on the PAP program. If they're not, take them off. Because let me tell you something, there's no program that is foolproof. This thing is done, and I can guarantee you that there's some people overseas would be able to get on because they're going to do the same thing. You can't stop it. And a lot of people they have families overseas, and they're going to allow it to. It's the same thing is going to happen again. Trust me on that. You're going to tell me that in the next 5 years. Let's go to the phone lines and take a call. Caller, you're live on Your Views.
Good morning, Sanjo.
Hi, good morning.
You're doing great.
I've always.
I know that.
Mm-hmm.
Kudos to the callers before me.
Mm-hmm.
All of them. Now, I'm going to swim across the waters now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the unity government has been formed with CCM, PAM, and PLP. And everything was going good for the first 5 years. Then start the second 5 years. then is where you find the hypocrite and the backstabbers them start to operate. Now, this man in Nevis, who call himself the Premier of Nevis, before this last election, this is one of his tactics to break up the unity government. Talking every minute about fair share for Nevis, fair share. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, he was talking about fair share, fair share. Well, the election come, and he never say he get the fair share. But he never say how much he was getting, about the 400 million he was getting. And he saying the passport belongs to St. Kitts and Nevis. And when they sell the passport, they're supposed to let supposed to let the whole island, the whole federation know how much money they make from the passport, so that he could work out how much is Nevis fair share. But since the election gone now, he don't remember the word fair share no more. He pushed that to the back of the stove and the back burner. All because now he is the leader of the opposition in the federal parliament. But because he wants what he wants for he not talking about the fair share still, and he ain't get it yet. But what that tells us, he walking so close now behind the same party that he was accusing the Labour. He was accusing them of all kind of thing. That's the reason why he come with Team Unity, because remember he sent 3 letters to the former governor, you know. And he said that the former governor wouldn't pick up the letters and read them. He was so desperate. Well, anyway, Team Unity get in, and all he was banging about is the fair share, all because he was personally against Timothy. And he even came down here on a platform where can rant and rage and disrespect Timothy, talking about fair share and all kind of foolishness. But now that he's there, look where he is now. He is so close behind the leader of the party that is ruling the government now, the Labour, behind Dr. Joe Pence. That if Dr. Joe then pass a law in the House that it is legal that human could desiccate in the street and urinate on the sidewalk, and we all know that is morally wrong. So he cannot oppose that, and he will not oppose it, even though he knows wrong, because he's holding on to Dr. Joe for what he wants to see if he could get from Dr. Joe.
Until he doesn't get what he wants. That's okay.
That's right.
That's okay. That's only a matter of time. And, you know...
Anyway, I wouldn't cut off your program because you only have an hour.
Yes.
So I
Thank you.
appreciate the little couple minutes that you give me.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
people of Nevis, take a good look at that man, what he's after. Don't let him get back in there again. Because anyhow we get back in there, anyhow we win the election in Nevis, he's going to come down and join with Jurem. That is his aim. So are you watch him good? Open up all your eyes and all your brains. Thank you. Thank you, Sanjo.
Thank you for your contribution. You know, one of the things that I'm grateful for, that Dr. Harris said he only wanted 2 terms. 2 terms he would have had. So I suppose PLP is looking forward to see who the new leader would be, because that's what it is. It is the way you transition that makes the difference. If you genuinely care about the people and you're not just making promises to suit yourself, and then I suppose you're going to live up to what you would have said. So let's see what's going to happen to PLP. I don't know what's going to happen to Pam, but I think that Pam should start looking again for new leadership. When your leader would have failed you, I suppose you look for the next one. Let's go to the phone lines and take another call. Caller, you live on your views.
Good morning, Mrs. Atherton.
Hi, good morning, sir.
And I respond to some comments you made earlier. One is to do with persons coming from overseas and voting. I was born in St. Kitts. I now go to the U.S. Am I not eligible to come back to my birthplace to vote?
Do you live in the U.S.? Let me ask you a question.
Let me finish. While you receive from Santo Domingo, people from Jamaica, people from Guyana, coming here come vote in my country. If I get deported, it's back St. Kitts they're going to send me. The other matter I'm going to speak on is referred to called clear. The Chinese making this lot of money in commerce. He goes deep because what actually happens, we the government, because 8 persons cannot be the government. We the government elect a ruling administrators. We allow the ruling administrators to do what they like with our land. To my knowledge, today would have made 47 years. 47, 1975, 2nd of December, Bratchard's last general election, when he went and he acquired all sugar land. After the acquisition of the sugar land, he was not able to put the hand on the land because the then Pamad opposition that was opposed it. The whole thing about it is that the planters, they were working on people. It was, for example, a cane field, 20 acres. They was only paying them for 15 acres. When Bradshaw went and he realized what was going on, he said, well, during the time when my people was working the land, it was 15 acres. How come now it's time to pay for it? That same cane field become 20 acres. Those land, the money was in the bank until February 1980 election, when the rural administration changed. X amount of land was given back. We had to pay more for the land, and it was after the 1975 election when we did, my parents went to vote. That's the only time we the people had some say in how the land going. After that, no more. No more. We become like, they become like real estate agents.
Yep.
And I say it, all 3 ruling administrators before this one. All 3. All 3. How could I squat and water pepper? No, answer me. How could I squat and water pepper?
It's true.
How could they determine I can't get piece of land?
It's true.
And I pay for it.
It's true.
Harsh jack. How much by this thing you've sent, people need to wake up because it's like, ain't right.
That's why we...
Talking about pap. You know what we refer to as pap? You know what we refer to as pap? Poverty attracts prostitution. That's the Spanish. We go and we import poverty, people who run from poverty, and they bring prostitution with them. And it causes our young girls, teenage girls, 13, 14-year-olds, getting involved in prostitution.
That was happening.
That was breaking on this society. Not only the Federation must say, if something ain't right. And we need to stand up.
Stand up. Definitely.
I'm a open-minded voter.
I agree
I
with
don't
you.
sit for party. I vote for your stupidness, I vote against.
And that's the way it's
That's how
supposed to be.
Respect.
Thank you for your contribution. Let me tell you about the same thing about the overseas voters that I have a problem with. I don't mind you buying your ticket and you're coming in and you want to vote because it's your rights. But at the end of the day, when you're waiting for a politician to send you a ticket for you to come home to vote, it is wrong. It's bribery. There are laws against that, and it should not happen. So if you go to the new U.S. and you want to come back home, you buy your ticket because you think it's your constitutional rights to do so. You have land, you have family back here that you support, you contribute to the economy. That is your rights. But for politicians to be playing, because what they're doing, they're asking investors to invest in these plane loads of people that they're bringing in. And when they're done, they're giving all lands for free. Basically, 75 cents per square foot, when the ordinary man has to pay $15, $7.50, you understand, per square foot for land. It's not right. It is not right. And just like you would have said, the lands were paid for already. Now we use our lands and we swap them for that. And our ordinary people cannot get lands. When you look, it upsets me because at this present time, we have a situation where our locals have applied for land who would have had their lands surveyed and can't seem to get their land, start to pay for their lands because you supported a different political party. But the foreigners are coming in and they're getting the lands because these are the people who came in and voted for you. You know what upsets me most? And I don't care. I don't care who political party, because all of them do the same thing. Where you are so disappointed because the Spanish didn't do what they were supposed to do. We pay them. Paying these elections are about how much money, which party can pay the most. People are looking for handouts. People are not voting because of the condition or the position in which the country is in. They are voting because of what they can get as an individual. It's sad. We are looking for democracy. You're talking about integrity. I mean, please, morals are out the door. We have reached those states, skittishan's and nivisions. We have to be grateful to our Heavenly Father, or the universe, who have been looking down on us. Because when I look and see what's happening in Trinidad and Guyana and Jamaica, they're flooding out, and we're living la vida loca because we are not yet affected. When you look at our economy, where politicians can boast where we are, but not just them, but the stats would show where our economy is and how good it is. But we don't understand why. Ask how many passports have been sold. You would know when you start to see the people are starting to come in, and all of the groundbreaking ceremonies that you're having, and look at who's having it. When these passports are sold, we do not understand the CBI program. The ordinary man does not understand the CBI program. All we know is that the government is getting money, and they can facilitate some of these social programs that they have in place. But we don't know what the consequences and who are going to suffer in the event after or when time decide to reveal the position that we've put ourselves in. We are selling out. They're selling us out. They are selling us out. I'm waiting to see if what is being said about Christoph Harbour is true. Because we are so politically blinded to political parties and their leadership. I mean, you're going to say whatever I know you're going to say the same thing. Sometimes you support in ignorance. You don't know what is happening. Now my eyes are open to the facts, and I understand what is done, what these politicians do. It sickens me to my stomach, and that's why I'm going to talk. But you have to learn to listen. Look and see what is happening around us. When a man could be beaten up so badly because he stole. I mean, I'm not condoning going into people's place and stealing. But at the end of the day, they are making monies because they have given the opportunity. We are ordinary people are stealing because we have not been given the opportunity. And the man gonna beat you to a pulp. And there's nothing for it. Nothing for it. This is just the beginning. Not just the beginning. These are some of the eye-openers. It is going to show us where we are. Look on 4th Street. Who are in business today on 4th Street? Our people have been taken off the streets, and we've been placed in the markets, and the foreigners have been placed in the areas where everybody walk. Check it out. It's the reality. Thank God Trent can still operate his little shop on 4th Street. Go on Central Street. Who are running businesses there on Central Street? Where are the locals? Go on Liverpool Row. Where are the local businesses? When you're buying food, whose food are you eating? It is sad, but people are not seeing it because we are supporting them too. Most restaurants you walk into in St. Kitts and Nevis, they're Jamaicans, Chinese. Where are the locals? These are questions that we have to ask ourselves. Then we have to look at our leaders. What are they doing to help us? We have helped them. We put them in office. We have given them a job. They're flying first class. What are the ordinary people doing? They've been taken off PAP without an alternative. Do you work? There are ways and means of going in and looking and see who've been abusing the system and take them off. Most of the time, the abusers are the supporters of the political parties. It is wrong when one person or 5 people in a family can be on the PAP program. But if there are loopholes, they're human, people are going to do it. this is not the only program that have been abused. There was a PEP program that was seriously abused. And it's going to happen again when friends and families are going to be put in a position where they can benefit. If you only know where we are at, and that is one of the reasons why I say, after you would have served for 2 terms, I think that you should take a bow, take leave. The people who came into office who had absolutely nothing, and in less than a year, you'll be surprised what they would have accumulated. Integrity in public life, we're still waiting for that to become a reality. Nobody the ordinary man doesn't understand why people are fighting to get into office. Is because of what they can do. They're abused. They talk about us abusing a system for $500. Look at the abuse that they would have done, the abuse that goes on in public office. And people, the permanent secretaries, they're in it. Government ministers and close friends and associates, they are in it. I am waiting to see the difference because you're seeing them on all the boards that they're going. Friends and families, good friends, permanent secretaries, good friends. It's the same. The players have been changed, but the game remained the same. At the end of the day, I'm going to tell you guys that the people who are going to suffer is the ordinary man. The people are not just having talk shows because they want to talk. And those of you who are benefiting now, understand that there's going to come a time when you're going to be, but you just came off from a position where you thought that you were sidelined. You understood what it felt like. Now you're in a position where you can benefit. Do not turn a blind eye. Because you would have had the experience of knowing what it feels like when leaders are doing what they want so that they can benefit big time. You're only getting a small piece of the pie. It is wrong. It is very wrong. And that is one of the reasons why we have to look at where we're at right now. Pam. Where is Pam? Nobody out there talking against the things that are not right. Because you don't have any political parties who are showing that they are viable opposition. Leadership is an issue. PLP recognized that they would fail, although they would have presented good leadership, they would have failed on leadership. PAM is the same thing. They would have failed on leadership. You have to look at PLP. The candidates were new, so people would have voted because they think that Timothy would have been a better leader, but it's obvious that was not so because he would have lost in the last election. So therefore, but one of the good things that I like about Timothy Harris is that he said he only wanted 2 terms, and I suppose 2 terms is what he would have had. I suppose he's going to start looking at the way forward and how he's going to transition leadership into somebody else and be a good player, key player, because people still support him. I want to see what's going to happen to Pam. Sean thought he was going to be the next prime minister, but now he's not even. He's on the opposition. Him a lone ranger. Labour would have had 6 seats, the majority. CCM plays a good game. They would have gotten 3 seats. We are not hearing about fair share for Nevis anymore. Division's election is coming up. And I'm going to tell you guys, I'm Division and we think differently. Start looking. I don't know who's the right or the most suited person for Nevis. You guys are living there, and so you have a good understanding. The history would show. You have a track record. Do your own analysis and come to your own conclusion. Please, when you go to vote, choose wisely. It matters not. They can't bring in enough people by plane to make that difference. You have the majority on the ground. Do not vote for the little bit that you get. Vote for the fact that Nevis is not in a very good position financially. You don't even have an airport. These are the things that you have to look at. Do not do the same thing. That's one of the things I used to pride divisions on the fact that they go to the polls and they're not satisfied with what is happening and they just change. And the next time they go and they're going to change again because they're not satisfied. Do not let people cloud your judgment. Do not listen to all of the eloquent speakers. Look at what has been done in the past how many years. It cannot be same old, same old. Look at who's benefit and who's thriving. Have an idea of some of the people who are not qualified and the kind of monies that they get. Look at where you are. But you see divisions that you always pride yourself as independent people. It matters not who government is in power because divisions do things differently than conditions. We are independent people and we think that we have to support ourselves and it matters not what the government do. But not in this case. The world is changing. We are not teetering on the edge. The recession is a reality. 2023 is going to be hard times. We're seeing that. Go on the shelves and you see the difference in prices. A one double salary, we have to look for the next 4 years and wonder where we are going to go and how things are going to, it's going to pan out. The double salary in December does for me is a joke. You go buy all kind of ornaments and curtains and things that would beautify your house, which is quite good. But at the end of the day, January, when you have to feed yourself and you have to pay your rent, I am struggling financially because the way life is right now, it's tough. It's really, really tough. And so I can understand the ordinary man who depends on a salary. $3,000. I was grateful when PLP, the leader, Dr. Harris, started looking at and saying that people should not be working for less than $3,000 and would tap up salaries up to that point. A household cannot run on $3,000 when these house rents are really crazy. $1,500 US for a 2-bedroom house. And it's a fact. They are not catering for locals. The cheapest you might be able to find a house for locally is $1,000. When you're working for $1,500, $1,600, $2,000 and you pay $1,000 in house rent, when you go to the supermarket, you come out with the order that, for me, is staple food. That is the foods that we consider as necessities. You come out with over $500. That's $1,500. You have electricity, water, children to look after. Life in St. Kitts is getting tough. We have to start to change the way we look at the situation and start to do otherwise. Politicians make the difference. Leaders are who we are looking to make that difference. They have to be able to think and understand and find solutions to the problems that we're having. But when we look at what we have, heaven help us all. It was a pleasure. My time has come basically to an end. And when I look in the other room and I see Sharon, I know it is time to get off. So I definitely can't overstay, but it's Friday. And let me tell you, RSV is real. It is a virus that is going on. It's a nasty cold that is out there. I don't know if it's COVID or RSV or it's just an ordinary virus, but we know that people are getting sick and very sick. And we ask that you continue to exercise protocols of wearing your mask, social distancing. You don't have to stay the 6 feet apart, but make sure you sanitize. Continue the protocols. Our countries open up. People have been asking for it. China is having some serious problem with COVID. America is seeing a lot of cases right now. And if we are going to open up, people are coming for carnival, we are going to be in some serious problem. Our hospital is still in the same position that it is in. Our healthcare system, you said it when you're in opposition, that is deplorable. Nothing has changed. So it's still in the deplorable condition. So we have to make sure that we look after ourselves. If anything happened to me, I sure would go down to Ross and see if they can do a better job. My name is Sandra Kuliatit, and it was a pleasure. It is Friday. I'm going to advertise Trent again. It's them times on 4th Street. It's always a blast on a Friday afternoon. He has the competition of the foreigners surrounding him. Support our local acts and our local causes. Check out them times. The food is better than the Jamaicans. And I can tell you, they say that their hamburgers are second to none. 5 years, congratulations to them times. They have been on 4th Street, and you can see that people are satisfied because they're going to continue for another 5 years. I am going to ask Strength to pay me for this advertisement, and Sharon is going to take the tap. My name is Andrew Kuliatis, and it was a pleasure. Have a beautiful Friday and look forward to the weekend. It is a good thing.